Alright guys, we're back, but we might be waiting for a little bit of time here. We actually, luckily, since that series didn't take... Actually, I think that whole series took less time than the first game he played versus Nercy. We actually have our choice of round of 8 matches, and there's a really particularly choice one we're looking at with Stylish, aka aLive, versus either Namshar or Sort of. I think that's going to be a really good matchup, so we're probably going to be waiting on that one. And I don't know how long that will take.
Or we can get Nasapi versus Rail.
So that already started, though.
No, Nasapi just got back.
Oh. I think I'd rather wait for aLive, to be honest. aLive's going to be one of the players who are certainly going to be contesting first place in the Cup. So we'll be able to just follow him to semifinals afterwards. Alternatively, if Namshar were sort of upset by beating aLive, that's also going to be really impressive. I know we had TLO beat him one of the Corsair Cups, I want to say about 3 weeks ago. But that being said, even in aLive's worst condition, he was still almost like impossible to beat. That guy is tough and scary.
He's a tough nut.
Yes. That being said, guys, just want to do a little bit of self-promo while we're waiting. If you don't already watch our co-op content, we always do co-op videos once every week. And of course, down below, we have tags to the most recent one. However, this week's looks really interesting. And I don't so much care, like it introduces a brand new, very unique mechanic. But if you guys don't know, it's also created some very original StarCraft music. And it actually sounds amazing. And I'm super excited.
I didn't see the thread for it, or that, so I guess I'll go look and...
You gotta watch the video just so you can get a preview of the music. They made like, it feels like Nightmare Before Christmas StarCraft music. Okay, that's the best way I can describe how it sounds.
Okay, hold on. Hold on!
In fact, am I level 5? Can I do the mutation on Europe?
Fright Night, I see it, I get it. Vision provided by all sources extremely limited, except when in view of your camera. Yeah,
so it's like, if you're not looking, like let's say you send your Marines to attack the rocks at the natural, and then look away, they won't have vision of the rocks to shoot.
Okay. And then Trick or Treat. Civilians visit your candy bowl looking for treats. Generated by spending minerals. The civilians are transferring units.
Actually, I'm gonna pull this up in the background so you guys can hear. Like, the music for this actually sounds so cool. Like,
where do I see the video?
Are you in the Reddit thread, or where are you?
Yeah.
Just click on one of the. Yeah, just click on one of the ones from the ones that posted that beat it already.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna play in the background stream so you guys can hear. Just context, guys. aLive still doesn't have an opponent, so we're not dicking around for no reason. I'm gonna mute my music so you guys can hear this properly. This is shout out to CTG, by the way. He's the guy who posted this, and I think he's the one who posts all those threads every week. But okay, so you're hearing like the normal StarCraft music, right? Then it's gonna load into the game right about now.
Corporal Faraday reporting in with a sitrep, commanders. Amon's forces are summoning void shards all across the city. We're looking at total devastation if they're allowed to activate.
It sounds like Nightmare Before Christmas a la StarCraft or something, you know what I mean?
That's cool.
I love this. Actually, I wish you could choose this as background music for like just today only or something. But unfortunately, no. It's only for co-op, but it's awesome. It really truly is awesome. Anyways, I'm not sure how long this will take, guys, but hopefully not too long. Let me drink.
Oh, Namshar won.
Nice. All right, Namshar has actually had an impressively good streak more recently, so I think Namshar is going to be really fun to watch versus aLive. Again, Namshar is going to be the one with home field advantage. He's playing on Europe. aLive's coming from Korea. aLive's also playing super late at night. But at this point, it's kind of hard to say whether those matter because he plays these so often. It shouldn't be that big of a deal. Also,
yeah, aLive wins no matter what.
I haven't done like a full stand-up cast in a while. It's so weird looking at myself in the green screen and then seeing what I look like in real life.
You look beautiful.
I do look beautiful. Thank you, Zombie Girl.
There you go. There you go.
Someone clip that so I forever have a compliment I can go back to. Please and thank you.
Yeah.
Rifkin, something happened to your body. What? Where is it?
Yeah, Dom is right. The body was the real green screen.
Actually, what would be
That's
better?
what he looks like.
You know, I should have done actually. Do the opposite. Just have the green screen on my head and wear a suit. Then it could have been like the headless body of Agnew.
Oh, yeah, I know. So many good things to do with a green screen.
Introducing this player in the style of Agnew. In the top right side of the map, it's going to be.
I am not doing Namshar like Richard Nixon. In the bottom left, as the blue Zerg, he is dead pixels. Namshar.
I can't even do it. He's got. I don't have the jowls
it's too difficult,
to make that
man.
sound.
Yeah.
Well, uh-oh. Is this me? Hello? Oh, bugger. Hello?
Oh, bugger. It's still you.
That was an awesome, unnecessary lag hiccup for no reason, seemingly. I guess just have your OBS on deck and perhaps ready to go, because 2 of those in a row does not bode well.
Live on the wild side.
Alright, well, hopefully they didn't mess things up for stream too much, but... anyways, aLive, fantastic player coming from Korea. Already discussed all these things, but he's also the player we would figure to win the Corsair Cup, as he does rather regularly make it to the finals. That being said, Namshar's had a hell of a year. This guy went from seriously being like a whatever, round of 32, brush him off type player to beating Hearthstone and other pros regularly, making it to the round of 16, making it to the round of 8 of bigger events, talking dream hacks, talking WCS, talking things that aren't necessarily our tiny little weekly cups. And it's just been fantastic seeing him grow, because, of course, for those who don't remember, like, I would say it's probably about 2 years now since he's been, but Namshar used to commentate on the channel with us a while back. And that's why we have the Ace Namgasm emote, for example. And we'll see how he does here. I'm actually excited to see how he does versus aLive. It might be a 2-0 in the favor of aLive, sure, but I think it'll be an interesting 2-0 to get there.
Yeah, I still figure it's going to be a 2-0. Namshar has not looked that great versus Terran and hasn't gotten that far in our online cups. Some bracket, you know, bad luck, as well as just, again, like, not being that great versus Terran, in my opinion. So we'll see how he does versus aLive. Apparently that music is from Heroes of the Storm. They always get cooler things before us.
Well, I don't care if it's from Heroes or what. It's original Blizzard music. That sounds fantastic. That's all I care about.
But we didn't even get it first. It's fine. It's okay. It's alright. They like Heroes.
We got custom mutations before they got brawls. Does that make you feel better? We also got mirror numbers.
But like, I mean, isn't Hero just one big brawl? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's a team brawler, right? I think that's what Blizzard marketed it as. Stop it,
I only
please.
like Heroes because I like Gilly.
You know what?
The only reason I'll show it. Like, minimum respect.
I was kind of at that point as well, but then I met some of the players at PAX and some of the team people. Totally crushing on one of the girls I met too. Doesn't help the fact, but it's interesting. The teams, I will say, with how friendly the competitive part of that is compared to StarCraft, blew me away. Like, StarCraft, don't get me wrong, guys, a lot of these players are genuinely friendly and really awesome, but it's also very much keep to yourself and don't do a lot of, like, outside of parties, right? Whereas these Hero guys are, like, drinking every night, and they're playing, like, the grand finals at PAX and, like, just having a good time. Like, it was really cool interacting with them outside. Like, these 2 teams that were big rivals I thought would have some beef. They didn't. They were just drinking together as soon as the games were done.
See, that on one hand is cool, and on the other would be to other people not that cool, I guess.
I guess
two different sides
to me
that.
it's cool, I think. I like it.
Yeah, because then on the other hand, you'll have people that say that, you know, beyond getting defeated and then immediately going to his opponent and saying, let's practice tonight, is something that is much more admirable. But,
yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying either one is, like, totally wrong. I get your point.
Dude, hearing about that with Showtime was crazy, too, by the way.
Yeah, it's. I get your point though, and I get it, but like, I can meet Hearthstone casters and players and fans all the time, and I'm just like, okay. It's okay. I don't need to hear about Hearthstone.
Well, this is a nice catch on the Hellions.
Yeah, well, it's because the Hellions had no place to go.
No, there's unfortunate wall timing out of luck. Funny enough, if he
Yeah.
had not walled off, the Hellions could have sat in that wall and probably done a little bit better the way they were, just the angle of approach. Anyways, not too big of a deal. Namshar is sailing ahead on 50 drones for the time being. Not playing too scared, starts his 1-1 upgrades. Whereas aLive, okay, he's flipping the third CC over. He'll start dropping some of those mules. We'll see his SCV count pick up soon. But Namshar, I think, has played this early game pretty darn well, and not without, like, there was no paranoia to blindly make 6 roaches or too many links, just sticking on queens and drones as he should be.
Yeah, he should have seen that it was a 3cc build. Just from the 2 Hellions and the engineering bays is actually enough, but as well as getting an overlord in there, and should have been just droning. So it's kind of going similarly for both parties, and it's going to come down to how the interactions go between the actual army engagements. aLive probably won't have that big of an army engagement until he has tanks, which I assume he's going to go for once he realizes Namshar is producing roaches. But we'll see. Because, he's producing roaches, and just 2 medevacs full of marines isn't really going to be that devastating, or shouldn't be, anyway.
Well, I like that he's tearing down the rocks, opening up different pathways for this very quick fourth that he's taken. He's also got the infestation pick coming down pretty quick. Now, Namshar, it's worth noting, is actually a player who has been getting to this point where he can play with the infestors and the roaches and the ravagers if necessary. But with the melee upgrades, everything kind of points towards those signs of Ultralisks, and maybe even, if he's crazy enough, Broodlords later. Timing is going to be on aLive now to really put that pressure on and stop Namshar from just free falling to that Ultralisk cavern. I mean, right now he's getting to Hive Tech with pretty much no harass, nothing to stop him. I mean, there was 2 Hellions that got screwed by 4 lings, and aLive played super defensive after that. By super defensive, I mean, look at this wall he's erecting behind the rocks.
Well, sure. It's actually a very good use of your spot depots. There's not much more that aLive could have done with the build that he chose to go for, so it's totally in Namshar's right to try and accelerate his tech and his economy, and aLive's actually... I guess you want to take this trade?
I don't know about this. Like, face value just doesn't seem worth it for aLive.
Yeah, because those 2 medevacs could have split up and attacked different locations. He could have just saved the 16 Marines and pushed. But he went for Widow Mines, I would say by accident, to be honest. Like, you don't want Widow Mines against roaches. They get a couple of, hits and they're not terrible. They do damage, basically. But they're not the same as having tanks, especially on Galactic Process, which has a couple of different places where you can really try and abuse the ledges. So I don't know. It feels like aLive isn't really playing the right game against Namshar. Namshar is playing a pretty old style. I will say that, like the double upgraded melee to roaches to rush Hive. Yeah, that's like one of the oldest ways to play, as opposed to seeing Snew with double upgraded missile or just literally going needling bling. But
I looking to get some damage.
I'm really not. I don't think aLive is playing to his fullest potential here. Look how much he's banking. It's like he's feeling terrible or something. This doesn't look like aLive's macro.
It could be him just underestimating Namshar, because Namshar really isn't a big name to see on a bracket, to be honest. If you're a fan of Namshar, you've been following our channel as well, following him, Namshar is a bigger deal than maybe just some random name that you've seen out there. Because let's be honest, Namshar is not the name of a player that's going to be in anything aLive's reading about for tournament results, right? And if he is underestimating him and playing half-assed because of it, he's going to pay the price.
Yeah. He's certainly learned or realized the situation of the game, which is that he's not going to be able to stop Namshar from getting to Ultras. Second starport, 4th command center. I would say not really pushing, but this is a push.
The fungal looked nice at a glance, but unless you're hitting the medevacs with it, it's actually not that big of a deal. Yeah, the Marines are something you'll trade out with one way or the other, but the medevacs are harder to catch, so kind of miss a little bit on that regard for Namshar. I don't want to nitpick here, but he still has a couple more fungals locked and loaded. We do have Ultralisk coming out, and yeah, Chitinous Plating's on the way, but until it's out, the Marines and Marauders can tango with their 2-2 upgrades.
Well, it's certainly not the game that I was expecting. Oh, that's a good fungal.
That was a really good fungal. I was going to catch some of these medevacs too, or not. Okay, gets one of the medevacs. The drop on the north side really isn't that big, or even that threatening. Drop coming through the south might get picked up by these spore crawlers before it even has a chance to fully unload. Chitinous Plating is 80% done. We'll see if it gets picked off or not. Unlikely at this point.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And big shout outs go to Hero Marine. I know I was watching him stream a little bit before we started the cast today. But I guess he just finished up, so thank you for that host, man. That monster host, and hello to all the Hero Marine viewers out there. You guys are tuning in for the round of 8 of the Corsair Cup. You just get into this first game of a TvZ.
Oh.
Now, of course, this first game's not going so well for the Terran, so if you did come from Hero Marine stream, you might be like, ugh, as you join. However, aLive is a pretty good player, and while he may be taking Namshar a little bit not so seriously for this first game, I'm certain he will afterwards, because right now, that macro from Namshar has been fantastic. The drone count, the income, he's been nailing it on all fronts. Now all he has to do is make the army, use the army, and win the game.
Yeah, I mean, now we're at this point where we have to talk about the fact that Namshar could throw the game almost easily by pushing in, you know, thinking that like, oh wow, I'm doing really great, and then he pushes into a bunch of Liberators. Because aLive, he gets maxed out on Liberators and Bio and Ghosts, and Namshar doesn't stop him from doing so. He'll probably have even the better army, especially defensively. But if Namshar pushes right now, I think aLive just loses. Like, I don't think he has enough army.
I agree, and for Namshar, he may be a little bit tentative because he doesn't have a lot of information, right? There's not Overseers and Overlords and Changelings flying around. He has no idea what's waiting for him on the other side of this ramp. But I agree, like, if he goes now, 3 Liberators and 2 Widowmines are nothing for an army of this size, this caliber.
Yeah, I might...
Namshar's hesitance may be what ends up killing him here, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if he waits until aLive is maxed out, pushes in, realizes it's not going to go so well, and, you know, just leaves, then the game continues. But he's going to have to think about Broodlords after that, and really think about getting, like, counterattacks in and abusing aLive before aLive can expand everywhere. But he really, I think he could have ended the game right now. He still might have had a chance even now at 180 supply, but it's different than when aLive was at 140, and he is going into all these additional upgrades, so the Spire is on the way, even a Baneling Nest.
So for me, what is the most jarring thing to look at was aLive did get the Ghost Academy down, but he's actually, instead of investing in Ghosts, still investing in +2 air weapon upgrades and Marauders and Widowmine, so it doesn't feel like he's actually going towards Ghosts, he just has it just in case he's... And I don't know. Ghosts are so good. It feels like there's no reason not to go for them. There's the first 3 being made now. Of course, Liberators are plentiful. No Corruptors out of Namshar could be a problem, but that's where the Ravagers really come in. They'll shoot those out of the sky.
Liberators don't have their upgrade either, so they're not exactly in the back line shooting from far away. This is a very, very bold move. Bring your entire army on to creep, even though you know the army's out of position. One bad fungal could have ruined his day. Even on the Liberators could have been terrible if they try and retreat.
But aLive will get the base and walk away for it. Other side of the map, the walls were tearing down, and these Ultras are about to break through. aLive's got to pull back and deal with this. For Namshar, killing depots is kind of funny. This ends up hurting aLive really badly. That's a massive supply block.
Yeah. 3 Ghosts, 1 Ultra kill. Needs the rest of the army to help out here. Liberators were caught off guard.
Quite the shower from above. Corrosive Biles. The army just fully stimming on top of the Ultras, maybe more damage than the Ultra itself caused.
Yeah, I think it definitely was. It's only 3 medevacs.
Look for those Corsair Biles. Fungals aren't going to land on the Ghost or anything, so Snipes could still be a problem, but the Planetary Fortress is going to go down, and aLive loses yet another base. Army getting choked in by his engineering base, and the... Oh god, a Fungal Growth could kill this army more than the Ultras would at this point. They're just so badly injured from overstimming.
aLive just loses this game, straight up.
Ghost
He has Ghost in the front line, then he has to be Fungal. He's trying to micro now, but this does not feel like a very good game for aLive. Like, as much as I want to give props to Namshar for playing this beautiful Zerg versus Terran, I really think even he would agree with, like, yeah, I just kind of macroed, and then I got to Ultras, and then I just kind of won. Like, there was really not too much finesse there. It was just aLive. It was not looking like a Terran monster.
I feel like the best way I would describe it is a straightforward game for Namshar. He didn't have to deal with a lot of harass, and he got to passively get to Hive. I think any Zerg player that goes untouched and gets to Hive at 8 minutes is going to walk into that end game always looking the better for it. Either way, that was just game 1, though. We got game 2 coming up here in a moment, guys. We are going to duck into a small commercial break because it took some time getting into this, and we'll see you guys soon. Alright folks, we're back. Thanks for watching. We are getting into game number 2 now of aLive versus Namshar. Bit of an odd series with the way it started, but despite being unexpected, he is down 1 in the bottom right side of the map. The red Terran player, aLive.
In the top left, As the blue Zerg, he is Namshar.
Okay, so Namshar, again, there's not a lot to really say. Like, he didn't go above and beyond in terms of, like, oh, he did so much crazy stuff and mind gamed aLive or anything like that. He played a very straightforward game, but the thing was, he played that straightforward game very, very well. He didn't overreact to anything in the game. He scouted appropriately. It allowed him to drone. He got to play greedy, and he played perfectly off of that. My problem was really getting to that late game. I want to point out towards the end of it, honestly, it still wasn't a walk in the park for Namshar, and relied on aLive making quite a few mistakes. So, concerned with, like, the hesitance to attack, concerned with the fact that had aLive maybe not overstimmed, you know, the snipes have been better, like this, that, and the other. That could have been a very different game for Namshar, despite sailing so easily to the late game.
What really boggles my mind is that aLive, it wasn't like a few mistakes because he literally ran into 50 different fungals that killed all of his army. He ran into like 2 fungals that were pretty bad, which, yes, could have been better, but also was kind of almost expected to happen in like a 15-minute game. A couple of bad fungals are going to go down. But it's just that his macro wasn't very good. And that's usually not something that you really have to pinpoint. Like, and it's one thing to be like, well, he was supply blocked for 2 seconds right there. And, well, he just banked, 200 minerals when he really shouldn't have. Like, you can be specific and nitpicky, but he was banking, like, 800 minerals when he was only at 140 supply?
For me, it's not only that, but, like, you're on 3 bases. Your production's supposed to be at a certain point. And, again, I feel almost... with the games we've seen out of aLive in the past, it's for sure no longer a question of maybe he was lagging because, he's coming from Korea. Like, aLive has played really fantastic games on Europe despite everything working against him. And that wasn't a situation where lag was stopping him from pressing the M button,
Yeah, it would have, in my mind, it's a combination of, like, maybe there is lag that just is, like, if there's so much of it that starts to bother you, like, mentally. But maybe he just had a bad night. Like, he should be so used to being up at, 3:30 in the morning in Korea. But if you were out drinking the night before, or if you had another tournament that you played the night before, maybe it does affect you like we would imagine it would, and he's, having a bad night. I don't know, but that was, like, a definitely weird game from aLive last game, and we'll see if he does the same thing again. I'm gonna say they just had a bad night, like he's feeling groggy and he wasn't like really like playing 100%, and oh well, that happens. aLive still wins or gets to the top 4 of like every other tournament we put on, but if he fixes it here, it might have been that whole like just not taking Namshar very seriously, just thinking like 3cc build and they'll kill him with the first drop, and then he didn't. But you'd have to, like, really underestimate your opponent to do that.
Yeah, I just thought of a kind of interesting way to refer to Namshar here, right? So, like, along the path of, like, good Zerg players, we automatically recognize Snoot and Urchio being, like, the top of the game, right? And aLive kind of crept up out of nowhere. Again, a really good player, but at the start of this year, he certainly wasn't anywhere close to, like, Snoot or Urchio tier, I feel. But then crept up quickly, obviously proving now, making it to the round of 8 in WCS, like, aLive is a good Zerg player. I feel like Namshar is now where aLive was 8 months ago in terms of like climbing that ladder. He's not doing it as fast as aLive is, and no one frankly has been, but it's something where he is getting so good now. I can't wait to see where he is next year getting into things, or maybe all the balance changes completely fuck everything up. I forget what I'm saying right now, right? You're watching this from the future.
Yeah That's a really
Game paused.
Oh, pause. I was just gonna say real quick, we have our first semifinalist advance, and it's gonna be kind of surprisingly Tails. Not so surprisingly if you look at his bracket, however.
Right, I was gonna say not only his bracket, but he did win Corsair Cup last week.
Right, and that's the part that for me I was gonna be happy to get into, because Tails is another one of these guys we discussed. We've seen Tails play almost every week since 4 years ago, before BaseTradeTV even started, when we were still Zeke TV doing the Zotac Cups, right? Tails was there every single week playing, and he's never really been impressive. But he won last week. There he is in semifinals this week. I wish him the best. It'll be very interesting to see if he gets forward or not. Bly is currently playing against Billowy, and if that's a PvP, I actually think Tails might be able to pull that off.
I think Tails, he beat either Billowy or Super, I want to say.
I think it was Super. Week. I could be mistaken though.
I feel like he beat 2 Protosses anyways. But, okay, so I agree, though. Like, PvP, I think it goes in his favor. aLive! Okay, so he was doing a 2-on-1 build, but then he swapped it over to... It is technically a 2-on-1, but it's also with a Hell Battle lane. This is something we saw Ryung do. And it managed to catch Su off guard last week's Alima League, I want to say. So this is something that, like, unless you scout the factory with the reactor... you're not gonna know. You're gonna have no idea. You're gonna build 20 lings because that's usually what Zergs do, and a couple of queens, and you're gonna get absolutely demolished. But Namshar hasn't been playing with pure lings. He's been playing roaches, and he's getting roaches. I think that's gonna change up the dynamic. You know, you don't have to run or into the Hellbats, try to run away from the Hellions with roaches. They won't. Well, you do, but you can actually micro out before everything just gets engulfed in flames. Roaches can take a hit or two from the Hellions.
Well, the Hellbat's going to transform, Bio's going to unload, and here comes that attack. This is something where, what I really like about the Hellbats is obviously they can trade out to a degree with the roaches, fine, whatever, Asterisk and that, but they will wash off lings, which is a pretty big deal. Bit of a pause out on Namshar. He's having some issues, I guess. Not sure what happened with that first pause. It's pretty quick, then now again, something's happening. Ooh.
That's weird.
Spot a lag. Well, while this is going on, let's take a moment to do some self-advertising for Zombie up here. And by self-advertising, I mean self-selling out. As we talked about at the beginning of the cast, but now we got some more people tuned in. Kind of entertaining the idea that if people want to donate a couple of bucks, Zombie might be willing to cast the replays of the best of 3 show match I played versus Livy B a couple days ago.
Yes, I spent $100. Actually, Alaska Winter sent me 15 personally.
So
very nice.
That's plus 5 that we got on streams. 20.
20.
So most of the way there. So yeah, if you guys are willing and able, you either put them in Zombie Grub's donation box or the BaseTradeTV one. Either way, we'll count them up. And I don't know. I know a lot of people were asking me to cast my own games. I did that one time, and I felt so douchey doing it. I'm never doing it again. I think if I had lost the game and I went back and I did day 9 or peg like analysis style on it or something, okay, sure. But I won a game on ladder and stream demanded I like cast it immediately, and I was like, this feels so weird to do. Like,
I want you to really analyze what you did wrong against Livy B.
Actually, that game, by the way, I will say the one I did cast, if you guys never heard about it, it was before I was Masters versus a Masters Protoss, and it was a comeback from one SCV. It was one of those games. It was a pretty good game. I was pretty okay casting that one, but I would not go back and cast the games I did with Livy B. That's that's for certain. Yeah, well, it looks like Namshar's leg is cleared up, hopefully. I see the question mark. It's like, yep.
Right?
Problem is, though, he's still got this attack to deal with. Unfortunately, the text is blocking it. God damn it.
Yeah, right? Go away. But he's microing with the roaches, and here's the differences between the roaches and the lings. The lings, you know, they probably already would have been all slaughtered. At least there's some roaches, and he's making 15 more. I think that's going to be enough to clean this up. And
yeah.
This is a pretty dedicated attack, and all in isn't quite the right word, but for only killing 3 Jones, it's kind of borderline all in. aLive also going into a follow-up attack, just made a bunch of barracks. Right,
and this is where for Namshar it's really nice, because you look at the units lost, okay, it's like, question mark, was that good or not? You look at the resources lost, again, kind of even, but Namshar comes out of this with an upgrade on armor, which is going to be kind of important considering every Terran player goes for that +1 weapon so quick, so it kind of nullifies that to an extent. But also, like, aLive's now getting counterattacked, and for Namshar, make a couple of these low health roaches into some Ravagers, you knock down those depots, you take out that Liberator, not a problem. But I feel like with what Namshar actually has, a counterattack is not the greatest option right now.
Yeah. They've taken advantage of if there wasn't a wall, but there's almost always a wall. So he goes back home. aLive really does not have the strongest follow-up. I mean, yeah, he puts in a bunch more barracks, but he still has to wait for his tank count to grow. And by the time his tank count has grown to it, even at least 2, but I'd say preferably 3, he's going to be mined out of his main base, the 3rd command center. Namshar is pretty out of position for this, though. This might be aLive's lucky drop.
By the way,
Namshar, please.
While this goes on, some people are asking... Oh, it's 7th, actually. He's asking who won the show match between me and Livy B. No spoilers, but she did post her point of view on her YouTube channel. If someone wants to link that, that'd be awesome.
No spoilers. Of course. Well, they didn't do as much damage as I thought it would, having Namshar's army entirely out of position. 7 drones went down. It's not bad, but Namshar still at 60 and went back up to like 63. Is perfectly fine to continue making units, and he has a ling on the 3rd base. He knows that aLive, or Roach, sorry. He knows aLive isn't taking it, and as long as aLive doesn't take a 3rd base, Namshar should just continue building roaches.
Oh, That Liberator going to sail off towards the main, and there's not currently any Spore Crawlers up here, so that could get some actual damage in, which would be really nice for aLive. Kind of needs it at this point. I will say, like, we want land and all that aside. If this was like no latency problems for aLive and Namshar himself wasn't lagging a bit, I do wonder like how these two would handle in like offline settings. But man, here today in the online Corsair Cup, aLive is not looking so hot.
No.
Like the fact that normally it's like you want to get damage in with the Liberator. This is a game where he has to get damage in with the Liberator, and he only kills with 4 drones. Does pull off a mining though.
Yeah, it's gonna be bothersome for Namshar to clean that up, plus a drop at his third, plus deal with the main army. Because this main army is still, it's scary. It has 2 tanks and a good number of marauders, and the army supply in general is pretty good. But Namshar does finally have better upgrades, for sure, and with 1-2 finishing up. And he's still producing units. You know, he's got a massive general supply lead.
And the investment comes, like, you've got Burrow, you've got Tunneling Claws coming up next, so not only is Namshar's units, like, okay, they're already good enough to fight, they're going to be even better. But
I really
this is
don't know,
something where, if he keeps eating tank shots like this and not baiting away from the fight, Namshar's going to bleed out.
He also didn't make any Ravagers. He just kind of didn't bother, and then by the time he could, the army was already pouncing on top of him. So
there's nothing to push back the Liberators.
Yeah, this is actually a big problem. aLive might have just won with this follow-up push.
I don't feel like he should have, to be honest.
Oh, I don't think so.
And that's not like a disrespect thing. That's like a didn't make sense thing.
Yeah. I really think that Namshar had a good number of Ravagers, like 10, 12 Ravagers. That's, you know, Liberals are doing damage first of all, but the army just isn't even at this point quite yet. I think he hasn't been dodging out the Corsair Vials.
Namshar still only has to really hold to still be in a good spot this game, though. Even though he's going to bleed out some drones here, keep in mind for aLive, he's synced on those 2 bases. He doesn't really have a third down properly, but I don't think Namshar's going to hold, and that's the problem. Like, his just barely aspect of this is still not good enough.
Yeah, 13 more roaches, I think, might be the trick, but he's out of Ravagers now, so the Liberators are here.
And that's where that comes down to this problem again. And of course, we're still on top of the eggs. We got a Spore Crawler advancing forward. It's getting really close for both sides of this, honestly. Namshar to pull drones. He lost a lot of workers here in the natural to hold this fight.
aLive, he's going to run out of scans eventually, too. And Namshar does have Tunneling Claws. He's been trying to abuse it. The Spore Claw is going to help out them more against the Liberators, but also against these medevacs, which are pretty much dry anyways.
Wow, the roaches are going to... The roaches are finally going to clean it up?
aLive had some reinforcements that were not pushing forward. That's actually a pretty big deal. Now going to consolidate on creep, and I don't know about scanning to clean up creep. He knows there's Tunneling Claws. Oh, well.
Yeah, holding every scan for detection might be a little bit more preferable at this point. Liberator kills 11 drones. The third while this goes on. Namshar a little bit late to respond. Losing the queen in the main now. Just the drones? I don't know.
Right? He's on the 34 drones, and he isn't exactly like swimming in money. He does have enough to rebuild queens too. He's lost queens.
It's certainly at this point now where aLive is no longer out of the game the same way he was when Namshar had like 56 drones, right? Like the fact that he's down to so few does make this big problems. Again, the attack coming in once again. These 3 Ravagers, they're chasing the 1 Liberator. They're not actually here to fight with the army.
Again, I think more Ravagers could have done it.
I'm definitely in that. I'm definitely in that boat. I'm definitely in that camp.
Without it, I think the ramp goes too much in favor of aLive. It's so close. He stands for what was 1 burrowed roach, but that's it. I think that aLive is going to continue pushing forward here. He is mined out of his main base, but he can lift. Namshar can't. And Marauders with healing, and just there's so much more valuable in these situations.
If only this is the race swap mode, then he can lift up his hatcheries, no problem, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, not saving the tank, not saving those 2 Marauders. Every single unit obviously is super important right now.
It's such an awkward pushback, because here's the thing, like, you lift the command center as he's presently doing, but this is a huge stopping point. Oh, the roach could burrow and buy a lot of time for this too. But even if unburrowed, still buys time. Point of this is, aLive's going to lose out on a significant amount of production for the next minute or so while he tries to transfer this over.
So low. Well, Namshar's having some gas problems right now, probably because he hasn't been putting his drones back on gas, which is absolutely true. I'm looking right now, it doesn't have the 3rd base or the natural. Only just put it back on the natural.
So I wish he would have burrowed that roach.
Yeah, me too. Like, so much scan energy. I mean, aLive's not muling. There wasn't very much to mule. Now there he goes.
This is 1 base though. He had mined out his natural too. I didn't even realize. Like the main I knew was getting low and gone. Too. Yeah, well, he's gonna have to.
aLive needs gas.
aLive's on like 1 base economy though at the end of the day, and that's, I don't know if that's gonna be enough to outproduce Namshar, who, okay, his drone count was low, but he hasn't mined out the same way.
That's true.
He does need to expand himself though, and he's gonna try and take that 4th.
Pound for pound, Bio against Roaches. Bio is with Medivacs, that is better. And their upgrades are evening up again. I guess Namshar's still gonna have a lead with +2, but I would still say that's not. That doesn't quite overtake the potential of Medivacs.
So kind of funny to see the Roaches picking up SCVs like this, but the funny thing is, like, again, they don't really have that much of an army or economy to fall back on. SCVs actually get pulled into these Roaches. Namshar getting really aggressive on the front line. No bro tactics, however. No healing, no whack-a-mole. I don't think you just fight against Marauders straight up like this.
Yeah, agreed. This is what I'm talking about. In the Medivacs, a couple of them had at the time to regain the energy, so they're actually doing a great job healing. There's the rest of aLive's army here. I think Namshar just made a mistake doing that.
Maybe. I mean, he was doing such a good job defending the desire to counterattack. I mean, he did kill a lot of workers for this. They were pulled into the fight. Down to 20 workers himself, aLive on 2 bases. This one Roach down here really just chipping away at everything. Nothing's quite dead, but 1 kill.
I mean, it is important that he killed SCVs because now aLive has a really tough choice between mules and scans. But aLive could also start dropping, because I'm surprised he's not. 1 Medivac with 4 Marauders could probably just tear apart the 4th base and then go on over to the main and the natural. They're just trying to consolidate their armies, and this game is still going on. The numbers are so... Oh, they're so okay for a ZVT too. Like Namshar ahead in supply makes sense. He has Roaches, but not so much that it's obviously Namshar's game to take.
Yeah, this is actually gonna be such a weird amount of follow-up to this. I mean, okay, so both players are gonna be on. Well, okay, Namshar's on 2-2, aLive's on 2-1, coming up on +3 weapons. But Namshar's gonna move towards Hive Tech. And while Roaches have been trading effectively or ineffectively, I think like whether it's Hive Tech to go to Ultras or whether it's going to be the Infestation Pit solely for the idea of Infestors, either way, Namshar's game plan gets stepped up a lot, whereas aLive is still fighting with everything he's been fighting with for the last 10 minutes. The only difference is he'll have +3 weapon upgrades.
It's fine for Terran, man. Why did Terrans get to stick on tier 1 and expect to win games? That's going to be the chat in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Interesting comment coming out of chat. Speaking of which, by the way, I don't know where you stand on this. I kind of feel this guy though, and it's kind of like been the case. This is after watching the WCS Global Finals. I have to say these Koreans might be better in terms of mechanics, but the foreigners do well in terms of strategy and adapting to their opponent. And I feel like that's been the case for like when you see the expansions come out. It's always Korea that's like behind for the longest. They're still trying to pull off strategies from like the old expansion, things like that.
Yeah, we've definitely talked about this, and that has been the sum of every single expansion and game.
Yeah, so I wasn't too surprised at BlizzCon when we saw stuff like that start happening. Watching Beyond lose to Showtime, though, was not that case at all. That was Showtime rocking the mechanics as well as the strategy.
Yeah, it just usually in the past it has been that mechanics have just trumped strategy, so now it's...
Yeah, macro better than micro.
Yeah.
Well, the Roaches attempt to wait out a burrow on the other side of the map. We do have a drop go off. Namshar can't really afford to lose too many drones here. Nobody can. They're both on such a terrible economy. I mean, 33 workers for one, 28 for the other. Medevac gets out with 8 health alive. Queen should be able to finish it off.
Boom.
Back in the middle of the map, though, Namshar is waiting to use these Roaches to get on top of the tank.
Oh, the Roaches.
Really, I like the idea of trying to catch the tanks from behind and maybe create some sort of pincer move, but the fact is aLive is on a pretty large amount of bio and +3 weapon upgrades to go with them.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that bio does better here. If the Tunneling Claws Roaches do not snipe the tanks and there's not enough corrosive bios, I do think the bio would win, but those are the two varying factors. Can the corrosive bios get some good hits, and can the Roaches from behind snipe those tanks?
Well, the Roaches still haven't really unburrowed or shown themselves just yet. There we go, now unburrowing. The tanks get focused down immediately. Nice micro out on Namshar. Good focus fire too, but aLive is on the outs. He's kiting away for his life right now.
Tanks aren't even a part of the fight at all.
No, that's going to be game, and that's going to be more surprisingly this series. And this, I'm just glad that for once we speak up a player like Namshar, and he like has the skills to pay the bills.
Yep. He's got $10. He can pay his Ting phone plan if he hasn't used anything. Oh, he's European. He can play his European phone plan. Oh, stupid Europeans.
Europeans can probably pay for a year phone bill with $10 from what I understand talking to them. But, anyways, uh-oh, my collar's like getting stuck and falling off. The tape is really not sticking. I need to get like the tape they use for boobies and stuff. Inside dresses, I mean, so people are aware of what I'm talking about.
For dresses? What are you talking about?
Anyways, I gotta take this collar off. It's not working. Or maybe I'll find a better way to tape this. I'll tape it to itself. Oh, this is frustrating. Whatever. Anyways, guys, we are going to go to a commercial break as we try and find out which semifinals match we'll be casting first. Top side is Tails waiting for an opponent. Bottom side actually might be ready to go now with Gear Trail versus Namshar. So stick around. We'll be back in a couple minutes. Thanks for watching.